It's a field back block, and that's
He's the guy that throws his body around.
Mike Drop Sports. Steel City Live.
What is up, my friend? Welcome back to Steel City Live here on Mike Drop Sports. We appreciate you for diving in. Make sure you're liking, sharing, and subscribing to the show. We truly, truly appreciate that. Make sure you're throwing your comments, questions, and concerns inside of the live chat, and we will dive into everything. And welcome back to another night here of a bullshit session here at Mike Drop Sports. And we are, again, just diving in, having fun, relaxing. It's like hanging out with your buddies at the bar. We're just going to sit around, shoot the shit, and talk a little Steelers football. Let's talk to Craig Werlow. He's in the chat already, firing it up. I like it. I like it. I like it. Maybe he will help, but feels like a band aid on a massive wound. Hey, absolutely. I just don't think it's enough. The Duggar signing, guys, is not enough. Safety Kyle Duggar. Yeah, brought in yesterday. That happened around the time of the show when we were on the show, I believe. The Steelers. Yeah. Does this move fix it? No. But I've had some time to decompress after these last two games, the Bengals and Packers. We've got to vent here over the last couple nights and, talk our normal Steeler fandom bullshit where we just flip out and go berserk. But then I've come back down to reality here slightly, and we're going to talk about some of that too. But you look at Duggar, you look at what he's been able to do. He fell out of favor. He used to be a starter there, drafted 37th overall in the second round of the NFL draft. But the New England Patriots, they get a 20, or New England gets a 2026 sixth round pick for a 2026 seventh, and Duggar is what the Steelers get in return. So Duggar lost his starting job with New England. They've been trying to sort this out since the summertime, guys. But they have not been able to find a suitor. Here they are. The Steelers had a need. The Steelers feel a need. 5.5 years with the New England Patriots, 69 starts, over 81 games played for Duggar. Honestly, guys, I watched his tape. I got to see some of what he can do here. And I look at Duggar as a guy that's a versatile weapon. He can slide down in a box. He can play that traditional safety role, that deep middle. He can kind of do it all, is what you're kind of going to need to replace a Deshaun Elliott. What does it tell me about the Steelers, though, right now? They don't trust Peppers. They don't trust anybody they got on their roster. So they had to bring somebody in. And we all know depth is key. So they had to go out there and they had to make some sort of acquisition. I will say this about the trade, that the Steelers basically paid nothing for this. If you look at the $5.4 million salary this year, the Patriots are going to be picking up the remainder of that for this year, basically. I think the Steelers will be on the hook for a little tiny fraction of it. But you look at that $5.4 million, and the Steelers will pay none of it. And Duggar signed a 4-year, $55 million deal in 2024. That scared a lot of Steeler fans when they heard that right off the bat, but that's not a big deal either. Because when Duggar's traded, that voids those last 2 years on that contract. So now Duggar is going to be a free agent. So basically, the Steelers traded a sixth round draft pick, which are crapshoots. You never know what they're going to have, in store there, with getting a guy in the sixth. And the Steelers now get somebody that has started games, that can do some things. And now they're going to hope and prayer that he comes to Pittsburgh and revitalizes his career. Not bad. Not bad. Let's keep going in the chat. Also, I feel wide receiver is on the back burner. Instead, if they make any trades, it will be on defense. I don't think that necessarily the case. I'm not saying that that's on the back burner. They filled out their practice squad with players that can play wide receivers, so we know that they've been interested in doing some things. They brought Marquez Valdez Scantling into the building. He had a workout yesterday, I believe. Um, you look at Scantling, what he did in New Orleans. I didn't know a ton about his last stop. I wasn't, right off the top of my head. But it started coming back to me when I watched some of what he did in the last 8 games with New Orleans last year. 4 touchdowns. He only had 20 some catches, guys. So not a huge body of work, but he was averaging over 20 yards per catch with 4 touchdowns in New Orleans. So that was pretty good. And I'll give him that. That was all right. And I think what the holdup here is simply what Aaron Rodgers was even talking about in his media availability is that he's probably looking for a place that he's going to get starter minutes, that he's going to get a starter role, that he's going to be on an active roster. And I don't think the Steelers were willing to offer that, which is surprising to me. But we can talk more about Scantling too. You look at Aaron Rodgers; he seems to really like MVS. It seems to be. I'm not sure that it doesn't happen, but we'll see. Craig also says, as of right now, I don't have faith in coaching staff can correct this poor defense. That's going to be the biggest thing, man. And we're going to talk about this defense a little bit further. I got some theories here too on some of the reasons possibly they might be doing a little bit poorly. But we'll dive into that in a minute. Let me catch up in the chat. Craig says this feels like last year all over again. A lot of people say this all starts at the top, and I mean Rooney, and I agree. I agree. Shit rolls downhill when things start at the top. I agree with that 1000%. But I've had a lot of comments of like the kids should take it over. How do we know they're going to do anything better? I mean, we just don't know. In terms of ownership, we don't know. The Rooneys have had this team forever and a day, so I'm not willing to hope that the Rooneys get kicked out of town or they pass it down. I'm not ready for that just yet. But yeah, they're a problem, no doubt. All right, last one from Craig, and then we'll dive into everybody else here. Craig says the Ravens are 2-5 and have better odds of winning the division than the Steelers. That should tell you something. Yeah, that does tell me a lot actually. Grant Ogren in the house. Audio needs adjusting, I think. No, I switched up. Guys, I do have a new headset coming. I do have this mic here that I'm running this headset through right now into my camera device, my phone device. However, I did order a new headset. It is a studio headset with a studio mic involved into it. So I am going to use that and eliminate the roads. So yeah, it'll be better. But I've tried several different ways to get this to work on this EV Mux app that we use to stream. I've tried my earbuds. I've tried this straight into that. But I ordered a studio headset, so that should alleviate some of the technical issues with that. And once I get back into having a big computer here, all my computers broke, and I haven't went out and bought a new one yet. I'm still saving up all my YouTube money to get a really nice computer, and then I'm going to hook everything into a soundboard, and everything will be different, and we will wire everything back into and use Bluetooth with all of our real mics and everything like that. So the studio headset will just be an add-on with that too eventually. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Oh, Grant's talking to Craig. He agrees with Craig. Another one from Craig. He says, I had a lot of pent up anger with this team, so I cut a lot of firewood today. That's it, man. Take it out, no doubt. That's a good way to burn some energy off, man. Steve Winters in the house. He says, "What's up, Jason? I think the defense needs a whole new rebuild. We need a new coach. We need some new fresh blood and a life, no doubt." Uh, yeah, as far as like tearing it down and rebuilding it, I don't think it needs a complete overhaul, but I think it definitely needs a new direction. It needs some new things done schematically, and I think coaching definitely is an issue with it. I think also that the Pittsburgh Steelers need to continue to bring new faces in terms of young talent. You saw what a young Green Bay defense can do, the fast, tenacious way they play, ultra aggressive, and then you see the way the old Steelers secondary plays, and that isn't the way you want to play football. However, there's some reasons that we're going to dive into that. That I think maybe not excuses, but some of the things maybe they can correct immediately here. Hopefully. Mark Collins in the house. Hey, Jason, it's been a while. Hope all is well with youth football. My grandson's JV and varsity won their Super Bowls. The both lost one game. They beat the teams they lost to earlier. That's awesome, man. Congratulations to them, Mark. We have our we lost in the championship, and it was a heartbreaker. And the team that barely beat us in the regular season beat us again. But they beat us pretty handedly the second time, which I don't even know how it's possible, but shit happens. It's sports, it's football. But congratulations to your boys. I'm still proud of our kids. They did a damn good job this year. Daniel Barry, Sports Highlights. What's up, man? Mm. Oh, there we go. Mark, I knew this secondary was going to be suspect. Yeah, I didn't think that originally. I really, really didn't. I thought that there was still a lot of gas in the tank. I think the biggest disappointment for me is Darius Slay, and I think you can fix that immediately, guys, with the with putting Eccles out there. You saw them do it late in the game where basically Slay kind of got benched there. And I think Mike Tomlin's definitely open to doing that. And I think that that's definitely something that you can start with. You have Duggar now. It's going to take a little bit for him to get involved here. But when you look, and we're talking about the secondary again, let me remind you that the Pittsburgh Steelers over the last several years, many years, have had a real issue with scoring touchdowns, correct? We know that. Now, minus the Cincinnati game, because there was no excuse there. That was a complete defensive failure. That game there, the defense had no excuse, really. The Steelers put up points. Aaron Rodgers scored the football and really guided the offense to a successful night over 30 points. And there was no excuse there. So that I would call their worst defensive game of the year. But when you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers over the years, what have they had trouble with? Offensively, and that's putting 7 points up on the board and controlling the time of possession. And I think this year with Aaron Rodgers, through the majority of the 4 wins that the Pittsburgh Steelers have, you saw the Steelers offense be able to put up points. And what did that do for the Pittsburgh Steelers defensively? It allowed the Steelers defense to play one-dimensional football. And force opposing offenses into one-dimensional football. And I think that really, really helps. Getting 7 points as opposed to always relying on Chris Boswell is something that the Pittsburgh Steelers really, really have to emphasize here. And Sunday night against the Packers, they settled for Boswell field goals far more than they should have. And I believe that starts to take its toll throughout the course of a ball game. When you go out and you defer and you come back out, you expect to get points. That was bad where you went 3 and out or whatever they did. I can't remember exactly, but they punted the football. And then you look at what they did throughout the first half. How many opportunities were there that they had to settle for Chris Boswell field goals? Now, if you take that and you say to yourself, if a couple of those field goals ended up being 7 points, ended up being touchdowns, the Pittsburgh Steelers now sit in a far superior place in that football game. And that's not an excuse for the defense at all. But I think it's important to note that. Uh, I've been harping it's time for Dan Rooney III, supposed to be the heir to be promoted to president like how Dan was in 1968 Art. don't know ball. Daniel proposed we traded Watt for 2 firsts. Team needs rebuild. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways you could go, guys, for sure. You have assets on this football team that will garner a large return, no doubt about it. So if you're willing to strip things down and just go and do that, fine. But currently, you sit right now in the 2025 season, and honestly, in Aaron Rodgers last year, you're not going to waste that opportunity with a Hall of Fame quarterback to just strip things down and have a fire sale, especially when you're still in first place in the division at 4-3. There's just no way that's going to happen right now in the immediate, my friends. You are going to now have to play this out, and I believe the Steelers got to be buyers right now, and I believe they are. But if you're the Steelers, you got to be looking for ways to improve this football team, especially with Aaron Rodgers. Mm-mm. You want to get rid of the DC? I don't think it's all Terrell Austin. Oh yeah, no, I get you now, Grant. Yeah, you're saying that's not Tomlin. Tomlin, yes, man, absolutely, I agree. Guys, let's talk about something that the Steelers really wasted a golden opportunity when you talk about defensive football and what they could be doing there with the coordinator position. Instead of promoting Terrell Austin into that position and leaving him there, you had a golden opportunity with one of the league's brightest defensive minds in Brian Flores, and you allowed him to walk out of that building. And why did Brian Flores leave? I can tell you the reason Brian Flores left is because he was not going to sit there and allow Mike Tomlin to make all the defensive calls and him just be a yes man. That wasn't going to happen for Brian Flores, and that was a deciding factor for him to get up out of there. Not only he should have been the defensive coordinator. There's a defensive tackle available. Williams from the Jets. He is a 3 down guy. Lawrence is out for them. I don't know enough about those guys, Mark. You would have to, probably know more. I don't know enough about those guys. Mark Malone, we're not married to any of these D players except Watt past this year. Absolutely. And I think I think Mark brings up a really, really good point. Mark Malone. When you're talking about this Steelers defense, look at a lot of the contracts on this defense. They are wash contracts. They're contracts that you can get rid of tomorrow, after the year's done. And I think that's going to prove to be valuable. Because again, you're not committed. Big Pun says Slay and Thornhill should never wear a Steeler uniform ever again. I don't mind Thornhill. I think Slay, though, man, showed no real intestinal fortitude whatsoever. I thought Slay really, really, really made himself look horrible, man. When you're a professional football player and you're allowing tackles to be whiffed on primetime TV in a blatant way to where it looks exactly like what it is, that you don't want to hit anybody, and you're a defensive player, that's not good, man. That's grounds to get cut, in my eyes, because that's a cancer inside that building. Where are we at? Sorry, guys, I'm bringing up these comments. I'm trying to make sure we talk about all the points you guys want to talk about. Craig Werlow, are you worried about Watt? Could he be showing signs of decline? I mean, of course he's going to decline somewhat. I do think, though, that at this stage of his career that he is a way smarter, way more effective mentally, and could be schematically if given the opportunity to do so. I do think that their game plan with Watt is ultra vanilla, and that does hinder him in some ways. But I also believe this, Craig. I believe that what I was talking about, not getting 7 points and allowing these opposing offenses to always be in the game whenever they come back up onto the field. When they come back up for that next series, they know they're always in the game because this Steelers offense didn't put them down several points. So in the Steelers' losses, that's what you're seeing, an offense that hasn't been that great except for that Bengals loss. That Bengals loss, I'm going to chalk that up to high energy on the Bengals end, division rival. They were reeling, and they come out and they just outplayed them on a short week. That's what I'm going to chalk that one up to that. But when you look, and I think that was their worst defensive performance over this whole season here so far. But when I look at this team, you got to put 7 points up. And when they're getting a lot of field goals, you're seeing that now. You're seeing a lot of missed opportunities by the offense at times, which is forcing the defense into playing some heavy minutes. Not only heavy minutes, but they're out there and they have to defend everything. Every blade of grass has to be defended. And I know that's an old football saying, defend every blade of grass. I get that. But in the NFL, the name of the game is when everybody's good on the field, the name of the game is forcing teams into being one dimensional. And when you can do that, you're able to load up in certain categories, in certain positions. You're able to fire off the football and apply pressure that otherwise you wouldn't be able to do when you're playing, defending every blade. And that, I think, honestly, was the big problem, especially when I look at how that game unfolded. AWOL, bang, bang, Steeler gang. What's up, AWOL? Good to see you, my man. Steve Winter, my friend, one of the most concerning things that I'm seeing is looks like they have no life at all. They don't even look like they want to play football. That's something that I brought up the other night on Monday. And I got to tell you guys, that's not Steeler football. If that's what Steeler football is, then I don't know what I've been watching for years. And you're right. There is no life. They have no energy, man. Grant says, not saying we should overhaul the entire roster. I like the current roster, but I feel like ownership slash business needs new direction. And I'd hate to waste Rogers' last year to go with Tomlin's schematics. I agree, Grant. And I think that is, now that you put it that way, I think that is a fair assessment. And I think you're highly accurate with what you're saying, that there does need to be a new direction, especially schematically when you talk about how they're doing business, and that's the business schematics of how they're doing it. Yeah, the business, we know that the Steelers sell no matter what. But when you're talking about the business of the football team and what they're putting out there in terms of their product on the football field and what they're trying to sell to the fan base, they have to start being a little bit more exotic. They have to be a little bit different, and they have to play today's brand of football. And I'm not saying you abandon all the old school ways, because I think old school ways always have a way coming back into vogue, always coming back into being a popular thing. You see that transition over and over through the years. I'm not saying you abandon those concepts, but what I am saying is that you got to go out there and do some things that are a little bit different in terms of what you're comfortable with. You got to find some new ways in order to make things happen. And I think offensively, you got to continue to find ways to get the football to the playmakers. And I'm talking about the wide receivers. They have to be more involved. You look at the wide receivers from Sunday night. Roman Wilson, 74 yards and a touchdown. Metcalf, 55 yards. And those are your two top receivers. And that's on 9 catches. And that's barely over 100 yards out of those two guys. And those were your top targets. You got to find ways to get Calvin Austin more involved. I think you got to figure out who's going to be your other deadly target out there. And the tight end room being virtually non existent was a real issue. Have I liked the way Arthur Smith has called this offense throughout the season? I have, in totality. But there have been a tremendous amount of moments where I think that they have tremendously failed in a big way, and they have let down the defense. And again, I'm not giving excuses for this defense at all. but they have to find ways to score 7 points. Otherwise, you're going to continue to see these ass beatings like this. You talk about that 5 game losing streak last year to finish out the season. What were they having problems doing? Scoring the fucking ball. And you're going to naturally have bad defensive play while that goes on. Mark Collins says, I believe a lot of the problem is communication. Problem across the board. Two guys, Chauncey Gardner Smith, the guy I want, and somebody Woolen corner. Yeah, I mean, you got to have communication. Absolutely, Mark. I agree. And I look at their body language and I look at the way they kind of chip back and forth at each other, and it doesn't look to be like productive conversations. And that's, I think, a problem. And definitely communication is looking like a real issue. But when you're going to have guys out there, too, that blatantly just miss tackles because they don't want to hit nobody, that really puts things down, man. That really drags the defense down in a big, big way. Let's get to Robert Road. Robert says Thornhill has been bad as well, but Slay has been worse. Yeah, I'm not writing the pass. I agree, Robert. I don't mind Thornhill. I don't think he's horrible, but you're right. We could probably sit here and point out a ton that everybody in that secondary has done poorly. Even Jalen Ramsey, who I think has been their best player overall. Actually, no, I'm going to take that back. If I'm going to talk about just coverage, simple coverage, and doing their job specifically, I'm going to say that I think Brandon Eccles, when he's been given the opportunity, has played really, really well. And talk in terms of overall play throughout the season, I'm going to go with Eccles as my guy that I think I have the most faith in right now, in terms of being a steady Eddie, man, and keeping that production. Big play Slay looks like old slow Slay. Yeah, you ain't lying. Craig says they should bring back Beanie Bishop, or bring Beanie Bishop. Just spitballing here. Yeah, I'm not opposed to any of it, Craig, and I love it when you guys spitball ideas because I don't have all the ideas. I don't have all the knowledge either. But I'm not opposed to bringing anybody back up. Beanie Bishop, I thought played well last year at times, but we got to understand this too. Beanie Bishop's had some major deficiencies also. And I don't think any of these guys are without deficiency, and that becomes a real issue. Hey guys, let me take out my jib. There we go. All right, now we can get rolling here. Got to have a nice jib when you're just sitting here bullshitting. That's why I said, guys, I'm recreating Mike Drop Sports. It's not going to be politically correct. It's not going to be the most prim and proper place. But guess what? It's going to be a place that you can just hang loose and bullshit and feel like you're just hanging out with the buddies, man. Steve Winters says, well, they double team TJ a lot, which means that Highsmith needs to produce, and he hasn't. Why isn't Herbig in there more? I think that that's a major flaw, Steve, where you're not seeing Nick Herbig in the way that you should, in my opinion. I think he does nothing but make plays, and I think he should be given opportunity. And I think since the return of Highsmith, I think the defense has actually went down a little bit, in my opinion, because I think Herbig provide provided that flair, provided that excitement level, that splash play moment occasionally. And I definitely really like the way Herbig was playing this season. And I don't see why his reps have decreased here since the return of Alex Highsmith. And I think that that is just another Tomlin issue, the gross mismanagement of roster. I do always think that that's an issue with Mike. Big pun back. Jason, the D didn't get one stop the entire second half. Hard for the O to score when the D can't force 3 and outs. I understand that completely. I'm not saying you're not wrong. The facts are the facts. I understand that. But what I'm talking about is, pun, is in that first half when you settled for several Chris Boswell field goals. No matter how great they are, all being 50 plus, That's great. That's fantastic. But if you score two touchdowns there, the momentum starts to be a little bit different. Coming out of the half, leading 16-7 or whatever the hell it was, that's a tight ball game. You go into the half with 24 to 28 points, and they have 7. That offense of the Green Bay Packers has to come out and be what? One dimensional. They can load up and apply the pressure to Love. They can roll out and do some things that normally they wouldn't be able to do when the score is tight. That's facts. And I understand what you're saying. Yeah, they got to stop somebody, no doubt about it. And every moment isn't going to be those one dimensional moments. So you do have to find ways to stop teams in those close games and those tight moments and get off the field. I'm not excusing the defense for that. But again, guys, when you come out of half, if you're leading by double digit points, 20 points, that's a far different ball game than it is settling for Chris Boswell field goal after field goal. That is truth. Pun also said this team was built for the D to carry it. They have failed. The O has exceeded expectations. I get it, and I don't agree with the Mike Tomlin mindset of the D should carry the team. I don't believe in any one particular side of the football carrying a team. I believe teams should be well rounded and they should complement each other. I don't believe in putting all your chickens in the one side, man. I don't believe in that. You got to have a well rounded, complementary football team. That's the only way to win. I don't want to hear the D should carry the team. No, and I don't care if that's the mindset Mike Tomlin had, and if it is, he's dead wrong. He is dead wrong. You cannot build a football team by doing that. I don't care if you're relying on just offense. You cannot build football teams to be one dimensional. To be one dimensional. All right. Mark says, I believe the Steelers better go get Caleb Downs, linebacker. Arlie Reese and Sonny Styles, they both are 6'4", 235, 240, and they both inside linebackers. They cover. They are relentless slash tackle. Yeah, and agree, Mark. There's tons of guys out there, man, that they could go get probably or draft in the upcoming year. The reality of that, getting all these players and just switching out your whole roster, is just not a reality in which, well, it's not reality. It's not something you're going to be able to do. It's just not. You got to look at so many different factors when you're talking about bringing players in. You're talking about contracts. You're talking about age. You're talking about experience. You're talking about injury history. You're just talking, there's so many millions of variables that just bringing players in and out constantly is not a good way to run your football team either. I'm not saying that there can't be additions, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I think they should add players. I think they should maybe separate from some players. But, gutting a team in the middle of a season doesn't make sense to me either. And when you have the opportunity to bring in a solid player, I'm all for it. And I think you're dead right. But just trying to switch all of it, I think is a big and grave mistake. And I don't think Patrick Queen has played bad this season so far. I think he's had a couple games to where he's looked pretty shitty. But I think overall, he's had some of his best football that he's ever played inside of the National Football League this season. And I look at Peyton Wilson, and he's a second-year guy, and we have to remember that. And I think that he's grown tremendously. I mean, the guy plays starter minutes, and I think that that's a blessing. You look at Cole Holcomb, a guy that's coming back from a catastrophic injury that no doubt has to be managed in terms of his pitch count. So, you look at that inside linebacker core, and you're talking about the three bigger names there. I think that they are okay there, and I think a lot of that has to be schematics. You talk about what we talked about last night when I said the Steelers try to use linebackers to cover the three. You can't live like that inside of the NFL on a continual basis. That's a mismatch. Quarterbacks are looking for that. They are looking for that slot receiver to be matched up on a linebacker. That's what they want. And that's why you see tight ends eat against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are constantly trying to utilize the linebackers in ways that honestly sometimes they're just in a complete mismatch, and it's not good for the defense as a whole. And we have to take that into consideration too. Robert says they went away from running the ball when Malu went out. Warren should have got way more carries. How much was it a case of Rodgers changing to a pass, defensive communication issues, bad coaching? Yeah, I think there's a lot of variables in there too, Robert. No doubt about it. And I like what you say. Warren should get more carries. And I believe running the football is a must. Every good team can run the football. And I think a lot of coaches at every level really get sometimes blinded, and quarterbacks too, when they have the autonomy to make wholesale changes at the line of scrimmage. I think sometimes they get blinded by the big play, and I'm a firm believer in my mind state as a coach and as a fan of the game of football. I believe running the football effectively, downs 1 through 3 are very important. And I'm just saying, I'm not saying you just do it constantly and that's all you do. But I'm saying you got to come out there and you really got to establish that run game, and you can't falter from that. You can't allow that run game to go by the wayside throughout the course of a ball game. That makes you one dimensional as an offense. And that's what we were talking about with the Pittsburgh Steelers defensively, how the offense could help them out by making other teams have to catch up and play one dimensional football. And what does that mean? They're going to have to pass all the time. And you see what happens to the Pittsburgh Steelers when they're forced into obvious passing situations. Teams are able to defend that easily, guys. This is football is not rocket science, my friends. That is the thing. And Robert brings up that really good point. Warren should be more involved. Gainwell, more involved on a continual basis. You don't go away from that because football is simple. Run the football effectively to stay balanced offensively. Defensively, you want to be playing with a little bit of a lead. That way you can go out there and you can make the opposing offense to play one-dimensional football. That's really that simple, guys. It's football is that simple. All right, hold on, guys. I think we had a super chat coming in. Grant with the super chat. We appreciate you, Grant. He says, what quick solution do you see here? Or is there another wasted season and one and done inevitable? As I said prior, I think they need to let the coordinators do their thing. Only problem is Tomlin wouldn't like it or allow it. I think that the quick fix is, and I don't think that it's a definite like this season's over. I'm not saying that now. I'm definitely not to that point just yet. But are they in trouble? Absolutely. But what are the quick fixes that they can do? I mentioned some of them so far. One, the first one I would do is move Eccles outside. When we got Eccles from the Jets, we knew he was a great inside outside guy, a guy that has versatility that can do some different things. I think that you move Eccles to the outside, put Slay in more of a situational type role, a nickel dime type guy. I think that's what you do. Probably more of a dime type guy is what you're looking for because he doesn't want to hit anybody. So you want to keep him in the back end out there to where he can just try to be a cover guy. Maybe that's what you can use him for right now because he don't have much else use. So maybe that's what you do. But I think that's the first quick fix for the secondary. You bring in safety Kyle Duggar from the Patriots, a guy that started 60 some games, 69 starts in this league. You look at, the contract that was given into him. So evidently the Patriots were in love with him at some point, giving this guy $55 million 4-year deal. So you look at that addition. Yes, you have Elliott out. That sucks. We'll see how that injury all plays out throughout this season. But you bring Duggar in now. I think those are your first two quick fixes. And then I think the third fix in the secondary is allow Jalen Ramsey to be more of a cover guy. Allow him to play more coverage all over the place and not put him in one spot. Eccles can hold down an edge, continue with Joey Porter on the other edge, allow Jalen Ramsey to play the slot and out. Quit putting the linebackers on the 3 and expecting to get different results down in and down out. Those guys are linebackers. They're not going to be able to cover shifty wide receivers on a regular basis, and you can't expect them to have that assignment week in and week out. I think those are the handful of quick fixes in the secondary that I think that will fix the front end of the Steelers defense. You look at the run game, I think that they've done a lot better there. I think the addition of Derek Harmon back from injury and the drafting of Derek Harmon really started to settle down this runs defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers in a big, big way. So I'm looking right there. I think Harmon steadies that presence there, and I think it starts to allow, when you make those little secondary adjustments there, and again, one's a schematic adjustment. Well, two of them, allowing Jalen Ramsey a little bit more autonomy to play and match up on those threes and fours and guys like that to avoid linebackers having to play those coverages. So two of them are kind of schematic type moves in terms of moving your chess pieces around and allowing them to do some different things. Um, and the other two are positional changes or player changes at those positions. So I think that's the handful right there that you can immediately get going to possibly change the fortunes of the Pittsburgh Steelers in several ways. I think that does allow the defense to play a little bit more even and be a little bit more of a cohesive group. So that's just my opinion with the defense. And when you look at the offense, I think getting the wide receivers more involved is a must, no doubt about it. But the only way to do that is to continue to run the ball effectively with Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. They have to have more carries, and they have to be able to do that in order for the offensive line to continue to get back in a rhythm. Because I thought the weeks that they were running the football really well and they were getting wins, you started to see the offensive line get better. And we were talking about their steady and slow and steady improvements along the offensive line while they were starting to run the ball a little bit better. And the only medicine for an offensive line, in my opinion, to fix it is being able to go out there and run the football well. So I think it starts with the run game. Get Jalen Moore and more touches and continue to ride him when things are going well. And that's likewise for Kenny Gainwell. Also, when you start to do that, that starts to open up that play action pass game for the tight ends. And I know that that's an elementary thing, but running the football is going to be the most important. And also, I think trying to find yet another weapon, man. And if you're not going to find another weapon, you need to figure out how to get Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin the ball a lot more. You cannot continually target DK Metcalf and expect him to make every catch. That's the same situation that they've been in for a long time when you were just trying to throw the ball and force it to George Pickens. You can't be that way. They have to open up things more in terms of the weaponry on this offense and get more players involved. And that was supposed to be one of the shining points of this offense in terms of the tight end room. When you look at the stable of tight ends that they had, you figured, hey, man, if they were able to move the ball around and be effective getting them the football, all of them, man, it was really going to be tough to guard against them because of the way the personnel matches would have to go, considering the size advantage of the Pittsburgh Steelers. But the Steelers want to just ride one thing and think like, oh, that's it. You can't do that, man. You got to be different, and you got to spread things around. I think one shining spot for the Pittsburgh Steelers thus far has been Spencer Anderson, a guy that was a 6th or 7th round pick that has ended up being able to do some really nice things for the Steelers. So we have to applaud that too. But again, those are my like quick fixes that I think that the Steelers could get done right now, this week, heading up against Indianapolis at home to give them a puncher's chance to win. They're facing a 7-1 football team, and it's not going to be pretty unless they come out with a different mind state and some different things done schematically, because they're going to eat them up. Jonathan Taylor is an absolute monster, guys, and controlling the run is going to be really, really difficult, even with Derek Harmon. I think they're going to have to definitely make sure that they don't allow Jonathan Taylor to kill him, but we'll see what happens there. All right, guys, if I missed your comment, let me know. I'm going to go back up here. Kevin Lynch, Highsmith looks like a shell of himself. It's not looked good. I mean, he's not played like horribly or anything like that, but man, it's been difficult because I feel like it's definitely went down a little bit since he's returned. Mark Collins, what's hurting running game defense is they are They have TJ Watt and other outside backers come off the corner and jam towards center. That's why they gave up and give up those huge runs outside. I thought you look at what they did against the Packers. They didn't let up a ton of rushing yards. And I think they played the run a lot better. Again, I think Derek Harmon has settled that down. You look at their two top backs from Green Bay, 61 and 33 yards. Wilson had 61 yards on 11 carries, and Jacobs 33 yards on 13 carries. That's pretty good if you ask me. Overall, I don't think they got gashed or anything, but could they be better? Absolutely. I think you can always improve in every category, but I don't think it's per se of like, oh, crashing down TJ Watt or anything like that. I just think that again, you got to be able to load up one way or another. You got to force offenses into being one dimensional, and that's the name of the game, man. It truly, truly is. Mark Collins, James Harrison, and Joe Hayden both said poor play scheme. Oh, absolutely, it is. Absolutely, I agree. Challenger Steelers put together a patchwork roster to compensate for poor drafts in recent years. I mean, we could go over their drafts, Challenger. Good to see you, man. We could go over their drafts. I don't think they've been disastrous. I think since Omar Khan's come into the fold, I think they've actually done pretty decent. I mean, I could see why you're saying the drafts have been absolutely horrible because you're worried about the first round picks that have happened. Joey Porter Jr., basically a first round pick, 32nd overall. You look at another first round pick, Broderick Jones. We've been worried like hell about him. No doubt about it. They traded up to get him at 14 overall, jumped ahead of some teams to grab him. And, maybe it hasn't worked out exactly the way they planned thus far. But there's still time there this season to see how that goes. Then you're talking about Troy Fautanu. You look at Troy and you say, shit, maybe that was a bust. No, the kid got hurt, but otherwise he's been starting since day one, if you really think about it. And then I look through the rest of their draft. I don't care about 6th and 7th round draft picks. Sometimes you hit, sometimes you don't. That's any team. But I think overall they've done fairly well. I think Roman Wilson still has a little bit of a potential here to do some nice things. Aaron Rodgers seems to really like the kid. So we'll see how that continues to grow. I think Peyton Wilson was a steal. I think Mason McCormick was a steal. You look at where you got him, and he's your starting guard right now. You look at Darnell Washington. That was an absolute steal where they got him. You talk about the biggest steal of everything, if you really want to be technical. The guy that I told you was the best center in the draft before that draft. I stood on his soapbox for weeks and weeks and weeks ahead of the draft. Everybody wanted to talk about Jackson Powers Johnson, blah, blah, blah. And I told you the best center in the draft was Zach Frazier, and the Steelers hit a home run with that pick at 51 overall for Zach Frazier. Then you look at a guy like Nick Herbig. I think he's a home run hit in the 4th round. Like, I mean, that guy does nothing but make big plays. The only reason that he doesn't make more is because situationally and the way Tomlin manages his roster in terms of playing time, I think that's the blunder there, not Herbig. So if I look at the overall drafts of the Omar Khan era, I'm going to say that I grade them fairly high. We're not going to sit here and bash Caleb Johnson over one special teams play, are we? I mean, the guy, yeah, he's not seeing the field right now, but he got Kenny Gainwell and Jalen Warren, who are way better. And right now they are way better because they've been in the league longer. I'm not saying Caleb Johnson doesn't have the ability to be really, really good, but we can't write the kid off just right now. I just think overall, I'm not pissed about the drafts. I'm not. Joey Porter Jr., yeah, he could do way better, no doubt about it. But has he done some really, really good things? Has there been times where the fan base has loved him? Absolutely. But he plays a position that's in the spotlight, a position that every little mistake is magnified by 1,000. So we got to give him that too. Mark's talking about some more players. You guys can read those players from Mark. He always got good ideas with players and stuff. You guys can read some of his stuff and he'll talk about them. He'll always give you some good ideas about players. AWOL, Bang Bang Steeler Gang, per source, Valdez signs with the practice squad next week and they are currently after Jacoby Myers. Would it be scary to have DK, Jacoby Myers, and Valdez Scantling on the field at the same time? I think it would be interesting, no doubt about it, AWOL. But right now, I don't think Valdez Scantling is going to sign with the practice squad. I don't think that's the opportunity he's looking for. I think he's trying to hold out. And if he does sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers, it would be because of Aaron Rodgers and his relationship with him. And it would be to the practice squad, no doubt. And I don't think that that's where he wants to be. So I think he's going to continue to hold out and try to find a place to where he can be on the active roster day one, because I don't think he wants to come in and play on the practice squad at this stage of his career. Again, over 20 catches last year, not much over 20 catches for the New Orleans Saints through 8 games, but 4 touchdowns, averaged over 20 yards per catch. And that tells me a guy that can still make some big splash plays. So why not take a chance? You're not going to have to pay a lot of money for a guy like that. So if you can make it work out and he's willing to come in and play the bullshit of going to the practice squad or something, then maybe, okay. But it would be nice. Jacoby Myers, I don't know if that happens either, but we'll see if Omar Khan is able to pull another rabbit out of his hat here and make a move for another wide receiver, because I definitely think it's needed. I think the addition of Kyle Duggar at safety definitely helped the Steelers a little bit on the defensive side of the football, but I get worried there too because that guy was just listed on the injury report with a knee injury, so that makes you wonder. But again, we're talking offense, and I'm just saying overall additions. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think Omar Khan's still got another move ahead of him here. But would those three be a nice addition? No, or together out there on the field, would that be a cool addition? Absolutely, I think it is. But also, we got to look at how the Steelers want to play football. And they want to use a lot of heavy personnel packages, and they want to play bully ball, and they haven't been able to do that just yet. Robert Road, I would rather have the Steelers be sellers and build for the future than trying to patch a hole or two. This team with this piss poor coaching staff isn't close. There is talent, but no damn direction. I agree. I agree. I just don't see. I mean, if in a perfect world, sure, I would probably do that too, because we're Steeler fans for life. But you look at the roster right now, you have Aaron Rodgers, a guy that's going to be a Hall of Famer, no doubt about it, who's won a Super Bowl against the Steelers. So you don't want to lose that chance to maybe find lightning in a bottle, pull a rabbit out of a hat, and maybe make a little bit of a playoff run with a guy like Aaron. So I don't think in reality that that's gonna the Steelers being a seller is going to happen. So I agree with you. Would I rather? Yeah, I like building for the future. I'm all about that too. But I'm not interested in wholesale changes right now in 2025 and just selling off a bunch of pieces. Because I think those pieces are going to be able to be sold in the offseason too. Especially some of the people that we probably mentioned talking about that would return a big haul of players or money or draft picks or what have you. I think the Steelers definitely will still have tremendous value in return on investment in those players, even in the offseason. So does it make sense now to just wash a season when you're sitting in first place at 4-3 just because of a 2-game losing streak? I think no. I think that's overreaction in my opinion. But yeah, there's tremendous amounts of ways you can go here, guys. Trading Pickens seems like a bad move now, or a bad idea now. He's thriving with a good quarterback. I don't think it was a bad move. I think that was an addition by subtraction there, Kevin. I think he's a locker room cancer. I think when you see where he goes on his next thing, because he's going to be a free agent, he's going to go somewhere, and when he gets his fingers entrenched in somewhere, and he's the guy, I think you're going to see George Pickens come back out, and I don't think it'll be a good thing. So I have to see a bigger body of work. Just because he's went down there and caught some balls for Dak Prescott hasn't done much for me in terms of changing my mind about how big of an asshole he is. Daniel Warman, what's up, Daniel? Those are the deals that are loaded with incentives. Hey, Jason, what's up, man? Good to see you. Grant also says, as Chuck Knoll said, And as you're saying, it's simply a matter of blocking, tackling, and protecting the ball. Absolutely. Football is that simple, Grant. And I think a lot of people lose perspective on what football is really truly about and how simple of a game it really truly is. I think people always try to reinvent the wheel with football, and that's not needed. You need to come out there and really stick to some of the fundamentals, because without the fundamental foundation, your football team is nothing. And you could be exciting and innovative all you want. Every good football team that's exciting and innovative still has the fundamentals down. They are still fundamentally sound as a football team. And right now, you're not getting that feeling from the Pittsburgh Steelers or seeing that on the football field, that they are a fundamentally sound group. And that's the truth. All right, let me see. We'll go to Robert real quick. I'm going to try to mix it up a little bit, guys. We're almost to the end of the show. Most of the big runs this season that the Steelers have given up have been up the middle, with Benton getting blown off the ball. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know the breakdown, but definitely from a naked eye perspective, the Scott, that just comes down to coaching not being able to develop. What's up, Scott? Good to see you. Mark Collins, they should never have traded Pickens. I blame Tomlin. I think it was a solid move. I'll have to agree to disagree with you fellas on that one. Drafting hasn't been bad. Coaching is not developing these players good. I think that's correct, Kevin. I think that the latter part of your comment definitely was probably the most accurate, and that was the developing portion has been definitely slow to develop. Black Magic, what's up, man? Good to see you. You still think Mason could have won a game with this team? Yeah, I do. I think Mason Rudolph's a fine quarterback. I'm not saying that he's better than Aaron Rodgers, but I do think he could win ball games. Let me go. We got three here, and then we're going to get up out of here. Let's go to Mark Collins. They need to go at defensive tackle / nose to play down the nose, a guy that pushes pocket. He is a double team. The blockers away from Cam and Derek Harmon, Watt, and Highsmith. You look at Derek Harmon, though, Mark. What was he known for in college? He had the nation's highest pass rush rate as a defensive tackle. So I'm okay with that. I think you get that push from guys like him. I'm not saying that a true nose would hurt or wouldn't. I like a guy that could be a true nose, no doubt about it. But I think there's some ways that you can move that defensive front around and change their roles around a little bit to maybe be better. But right now, guys, I don't think the run game's the issue right now. I think the run game is probably their best spot in defense. It's the secondary that's getting fucking torched. And again, that's because we're not forcing teams to play offensively one dimensionally. And it's really that simple. Again, guys, it's really, truly that simple. And I believe truly, 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 schematically, the Steelers foul up with utilizing their linebackers in the way they do in the pass game. I'm pleased with the offense as of recent. It is a top 5 offense. Agreeing with Robert, this personnel is loaded. I do think Dick LeBeau could have this defense top 10 in all categories. Black Magic says, "Oh my God, you're crazy. Getting rid of GP was a terrible move. You're just talking now." No, it's my opinion, man. Yeah, it's just my opinion, and that's just what it is. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. It is what it is. That's just all it is, buddy. No, the guy they're going to go is Brian Thomas Jr. I'm not sure where everybody. Okay. All right, guys. I'm gonna get up out of here because we've been hitting that hour mark. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk some more ball. You guys are welcome to bring all your opinions. I'll bring mine as best I can and try to give you my perspective on a lot of things. And we'll continue to dive in here on on a Thursday tomorrow. And we're one day closer to playing the 7-1 Indianapolis Colts at Acrisure Stadium. And it could be a slobber knocker, not in a good way for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But maybe if they do some of these little changes that we're talking about, perhaps maybe their fortunes change a little bit. And maybe Mike Tomlin wakes up and realizes that and quits being a complete dense moron that stands there and looks like he is lost, dazed, and confused, just like his defense of secondary has looked as of late. Lost, dazed, and confused. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there, guys. But until tomorrow, I'm Jason. This is Mike Drop Sports. Like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you're turning on the notification bell. Hit us up on TikTok. Hit us up on Facebook and X. We truly appreciate it.
Power takes the approach as a coach. Let's go. Let's go. It's a field back block, and that's